problem, and then he gets frustrated when he doesn't have the players around him that can do that to make shots like he do. Kevin Durant went to a team that already had shot makers. You know what I'm saying? So he was already on a team in Oklahoma City where I thought they were pretty good too. He just probably couldn't get along with the guy with Westbrook or whatever. I don't know what happened over there, and he chose to come to a team that had won a championship and did it. That's his prerogative. I don't care. You know, but what I'm saying is that
the 90s and early 2000s are often portrayed as less skilled or less demanding than today's NBA. While he acknowledged the talent of modern players, he emphasized that comparisons between eras often overlook key differences in rules, physicality, and style of play. In various interviews over recent years, LeBron James has spoken about how today's NBA requires players to be more versatile, athletic, and skilled across multiple positions. He has highlighted the pace of the game, the emphasis on three-point shooting, and the need to defend all areas of the court. Kevin Durant has echoed similar views, suggesting that the average player today is more skilled and that teams from earlier eras might struggle under modern conditions. Payton does not deny that the game has evolved. However, he argues that these statements can unintentionally minimize what players from earlier generations accomplished. According to Payton, the physicality allowed during his era, such as hand-checking and more aggressive defensive contact, made scoring and shot creation significantly more difficult. He noted that offensive players had less spacing, fewer favorable rule interpretations, and faced constant physical and mental pressure from defenders. Drawing from his own experience guarding players like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Reggie Miller, Payton emphasized that success during his era required both skill and toughness. He believes that removing context from these comparisons—
in my opinion, I don't want to use the word running because I'm not trying to disrespect LeBron, but I will say this. There have been many occasions where I would have liked to have seen him accepting the tougher defensive assignment, and that is not something that he has been prone to do. If anybody would know whether or not that statement is true, it would be you, GP. Your thoughts?
Well, it is true. I think it's a different little era. And
LeBron James and Kevin Durant did not immediately respond to Payton's remarks, which further fueled discussion among fans and media. The debate quickly expanded beyond individual players and became a larger conversation about how basketball history is evaluated and remembered. At its core, this situation highlights the difficulty of comparing different eras fairly. Rule changes, advancements in training and medicine, analytics, and shifts in play style all influence how the game is played. While modern players benefit from increased spacing and offensive freedom, earlier generations dealt with greater physical contact and fewer protections. Both perspectives hold validity. The modern NBA demands high-level versatility and skill across the roster, while previous eras required sustained physical and mental endurance under stricter defensive conditions. Recognizing one reality does not require dismissing the other. Gary Payton's main message is not about proving one era superior to another, but about preserving respect for the players who helped build the league. He believes that acknowledging basketball's evolution should not come at the expense of diminishing the achievements of those who came before. As long as basketball continues to grow, debates about eras, greatness, and legacy will persist. These discussions reflect the passion fans and players have for the game and its history. The challenge moving forward is finding a balance, celebrating modern excellence while honoring the foundation laid by past generations.
As the discussion continued across media platforms, analysts began examining why these era-based debates surface so frequently in basketball compared to other sports. Basketball, unlike many team sports, places an extraordinary emphasis on individual.
Phil made an adjustment where he switched Scotty, a bigger guy, on me to stop me from posting up and going out. And then Michael got very upset about that because he wanted to take the challenge, which I knew he would want to. And that's what made the difference. You know, he didn't shoot the ball very well after game 3. He didn't shoot the ball very well. And then all of a sudden, you know, they made adjustments and they started going to Kukoc and Rodman was getting all kind of—
Simplify the past by suggesting earlier eras lacked skill or sophistication. Important context is often lost. The 1990s NBA operated under a completely different rulebook. Defensive hand-checking was legal on the perimeter. Zone defenses were restricted, forcing defenders to guard elite scorers one-on-one for extended stretches. Offensive spacing was limited due to fewer three-point shooters and different coaching philosophies. These conditions shaped how players trained, played, and succeeded. Payton emphasized that defensive excellence in his era was not optional. Guards were expected to fight through screens, absorb contact, and disrupt offensive rhythm without the benefit of modern whistle interpretations. A single lapse in focus could result in a defensive breakdown that directly impacted team success. In this environment, individual defensive reputation mattered greatly. Players were judged not only on offensive output, but also on whom they could stop. Modern basketball, by contrast, prioritizes offensive efficiency and spacing. Defensive schemes are more complex, relying on rotations, switches, and help defense rather than constant individual matchups. While this demands high basketball IQ, it also means that elite offensive players are rarely guarded by the same defender for an entire game. From Payton's perspective, this structural difference
is with you, or is it like, I want to continue to expand my game?
That was the main thing, wanting to expand my game. Early on when I came into the league, if I could think about my first 20 games in the league, I felt like I was just catching and shooting. A lot of it was catch and shoot threes, catch and shoot mid-range. I was playing fast.
So you felt it was happening so quick, you just felt comfortable rising up?
That was my game, just shooting. You know what I'm saying, at that point. So that's what I, fell back.
If players from the 1990s had access to modern spacing and shooting philosophies, their numbers would likely rise as well. Conversely, if modern stars were placed into earlier eras without the same rule protections, their efficiency and durability could be affected. This hypothetical exchange illustrates why era comparisons often fail to reach meaningful conclusions. Basketball performance is deeply intertwined with context. Another factor fueling tension is the role of media and social platforms. Short-form content rewards bold claims rather than nuance. A statement like, "the game is more skilled now," travels faster than a balanced explanation acknowledging both progress and historical difficulty. As these simplified narratives spread, they harden into perceived truths, creating friction between generations. Former players often feel that their careers are being judged retroactively through a modern lens that ignores how groundbreaking their achievements were at the time. Moves that are now standard, such as pull-up threes, switch-heavy defenses, and positionless lineups, were once considered risky or unconventional. Many of these innovations were built upon foundations laid by earlier players and coaches. Payton's stance also reflects a broader sentiment shared by many retired athletes: the fear of being reduced to footnotes rather than recognized as architects. The NBA's global popularity did not emerge spontaneously. It was built through rivalries, physical playoff battles, and iconic moments that defined the league's identity. Those moments shaped fan culture and created the platform on which modern stars now perform. At the same time, younger players often feel pressure to defend their era because they are evaluated constantly against the past. Every statistical milestone is immediately compared to historical benchmarks. In this environment, emphasizing the difficulty of the modern game can feel like a form of self-advocacy rather than disrespect. The challenge lies in how these points are communicated. LeBron James, throughout his career, has frequently acknowledged the influence of earlier legends. However, some of his broader statements about the modern game's complexity have been interpreted as dismissive when removed from context. Kevin Durant, known for his direct communication style, has been less concerned with how his words are perceived, focusing instead on what he believes to be factual observations about skill development. This difference in communication styles further complicates public perception. Intent does not always align with interpretation, particularly in an era where quotes are often shared without full context. What one player views as commentary on evolution, another hears as judgment. The NBA itself has indirectly contributed to this tension through marketing strategies that emphasize comparisons and rankings. Promotional content frequently asks who is the greatest of all time, which era was toughest, or which player would dominate in another generation. While this drives engagement, it also reinforces an adversarial framing of basketball history. From an organizational standpoint, there is value in reframing these conversations. Celebrating continuity rather than competition between eras allows fans to appreciate the game's progression without diminishing its past. Acknowledging that today's players benefit from decades of innovation does not undermine their greatness, it contextualizes it. Gary Payton's comments serve as a reminder that respect in sports is not only about accolades, but about acknowledgement. Recognition of difficulty, sacrifice, and excellence should not be conditional on era. The league's history is cumulative, with each generation contributing something unique. As the debate continues, some analysts have suggested that the most productive approach is comparative appreciation rather than comparative judgment. Instead of asking who would dominate whom, the focus shifts to understanding what each era required from its players. Physical resilience, adaptability, creativity, and mental toughness manifest differently depending on context. For example, defenders in Payton's era mastered physical containment and psychological pressure. Modern defenders excel at spatial awareness and rapid decision-making within complex systems. Offensive players then relied more heavily on contested shot-making. Today's stars prioritize efficiency through spacing and movement. Neither approach is inherently superior. They are responses to different environments. This perspective also benefits fans by deepening their understanding of basketball as an evolving craft. Appreciating how players adapted to their circumstances fosters respect rather than rivalry. It allows greatness to be recognized without diminishing others. Ultimately, the discussion sparked by Gary Payton reflects an ongoing negotiation between memory and modernity. As new players redefine what is possible on the court, the past must be preserved accurately, not nostalgically or dismissively. The responsibility for this balance lies with players, media, and fans alike. The NBA thrives because of its history, not despite it. Each generation inherits both opportunity and obligation, the opportunity to elevate the game and the obligation to honor its roots. When those two forces are aligned, debates become conversations rather than confrontations. Whether this particular disagreement leads to greater understanding remains uncertain. What is clear, however, is that voices from the past still matter. They provide perspective, grounding the present in lived experience rather than abstract comparison. As basketball continues to evolve, these discussions will persist, but if they are approached with context, humility, and respect, they can enrich the sport rather than divide it. In that sense, Gary Payton's comments are not an attempt to halt progress, but a reminder that progress does not erase history, it builds upon it.